And I came across this guy. It was a mentor of a friend of mine who sat down with me and he said, Jason, you know, you think you're really cool because you're really good at business. You know, everything you touch turns to gold. You create something, you make something, and it does really, really well. And I can see that you're, you know, really proud of that. He's like, but anybody can make millions of bucks a year if they want to work 15 hours a day. You're nobody special. And he was kind of getting in my business a little bit, you know, like kind of like challenging me as, man, really, that's how I felt. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy, you know? Like, he was aggravating me. But what he said was, he said, it would be really cool is if you could create those same results, or if not even better results, working 2 or 3 or 4 hours a day instead of 15 hours a day. And that was a message that I never really heard. And then my buddy Sean, who was sitting right next to him, said, what do you like to do for fun? And I was kind of like, deer in the headlights, you know what I mean? And at 30 years old, that's a crappy way to answer that question, right? I should have all kinds of really cool things to talk about what I like to do for fun, and all I could think about was work. And so I said, well, I like business. And he said, okay, great. What if you did not have to do business anymore? Then what would you do? I said, well, I don't know, I guess I'd start another business. And he said, no, you don't get it, man. No work. And I was like, I don't know, man. It's a trick question. I guess I'd help other people with their businesses. He's like, no, stop. Like, what would you do for you? What would you do for fun? And this is real, you know what I mean? And this is a shame that I can't answer this question adequately. And as we go through, he's like, don't you have a motorcycle? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, when's the last time you rode it? And I don't know, the tags are like 3 years expired, so I guess probably 3 years ago, you know? And he started kind of getting into the stuff like, exactly why I wanted to make a lot of money and exactly why I wanted to create that type of lifestyle was exactly what I was not doing. And so I think a lot of people can stand up here and teach you how to make money in real estate. It's not real hard to make money in real estate. It takes dedication, but it's not real hard, all right? What I want to teach you how to do is have a life at the same time. Does that make sense? Yeah. How to be able to go out and experience life right now. I wake up every morning, I'm 37 years old, I'm completely debt-free, I work when I want to work, I travel when I want to travel, I buy what I want to buy. I'm not saying money or working or any of that's bad. I'm just simply saying there's a different way of life than what most of the people in this room have been exposed to. I live that life, Rachel lives that life, and probably a couple hundred people in our community and our coaching groups do the same thing. I'm not here to pitch coaching tonight or anything else. You won't hear me offer that one time. I'm just telling you that I was exposed to an environment of people that were living drastically different than the way I was living. And it's a shift in mindset. It's just a shift in the way of thinking. Make sense? You guys with me? Yeah. All right, so let's jump into this. Why are you guys here? Why'd you come tonight? Why? Somebody said make money. What else?
I saw the webinar. I thought it was pretty cool. I wanted to hear the story again.
Good. Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate that. Why else? Why did you guys take time away from your family? Real estate investing, and why do you want to learn about real estate investing? Because it's another way to invest and make money. And what happens if you make more money?
Buy more stuff.
You buy more stuff, right? Take vacations. What else? What else?
More leisure time.
More leisure time.
Learn about the future.
Right.
Freedom.
Kids' future, right? Yeah, so that's really what it comes down to, right? I always ask the people, they say they want to make more money, and I think that's why everybody's sitting in here for the most part. But when you really drill down the money, you get to things like freedom. You get to things like, because I want to wake up in the morning and have breakfast with my kids and not have to be at the office at 8. You say, I want to be able to go to my kid's baseball game without not having to miss work, right? Does that make sense? I mean, those are the real quality of life experiences that we're looking to have. And so what you won't find is that I like real estate, but I'm not passionate about real estate. I don't believe that God put me on this earth to flip houses, although we flipped a lot of them and we do a really good job at it. I believe God put me here for another reason. But real estate is the vehicle that allows me to live the reason why He put me here. Does that make sense? You guys with me? And I still like real estate, and there's nothing wrong with being passionate about it. I'm just saying that if you can design a business in which you can work 2 or 3 hours a day that throws off 3, 4, 5, 6, 800 grand a year, is that all right? Yeah. Is that cool? Can you do some other cool things then with that? Yeah. All right. So, no matter what you're doing with all of that, one thing kind of circles back to the same, and that is killer marketing. We have to be able to make the phone ring with sellers who have a property to sell that 500 other investors haven't already bid on if we're going to make money in this gig, right? You guys with me? Fair enough? All right, so killer marketing is what sets any business apart. When you look at businesses that are extremely successful, they always have a really unique marketing plan. And so Rachel and I put this together because in our coaching groups that we run, we have investors that are doing 20, 30, 40 deals a month, every single month like clockwork, 20 rehabs, 30 rehabs a month, over and over. We have guys that do 2 or 3 deals a month. And in that mastermind group, that's why it's cool to be part of a group like this, because you get to learn from all these other experienced people. But what I found is that I've got my buddy David out in California who I've worked with for 5 or 6 years now, and he comes up with this really cool marketing strategy that gets a 70% response rate when he launches it. Does anybody in here know on average what the average direct mail response rate is?
1%.
Yeah, 1 or 2%. This guy's hitting 70% on this new marketing strategy. So the rest of the group hears about it, and for the next 3 months, every coaching call I have is explaining to the rest of my group what this guy is doing. And that's all fine and well, but I'm not really growing my business. And then Gabe up in Wisconsin, he finds a new marketing idea, and everybody else wants to hear about that. And so the reason why I'm here tonight, the reason why I put this together is because what Rachel and I did was say, we recognize right now in the market, what was working 3 or 4 years ago marketing-wise to make the phone ring isn't working anymore today. Everyone has exhausted it and blasted it to pieces, and in my opinion, if you're going to be extremely successful in real estate investing, you got to do a little bit more than just mail out some letters, all right? There's a whole lot of more creative things that you can do. Every house that I buy for 60% of ARV minus repairs. Every single house. And I have absolutely no problem buying that. I can do it in any market in the country, anywhere you want to put me. You want to put me here, I can start up shop here tomorrow, and within 2 weeks I'll be buying houses at 60 cents on the dollar of ARV minus, of after repair value minus repairs. I don't care if it's Arizona, I don't care if it's Southern California, I can show you HUDs, I can show you my students that are doing it. So I don't want anybody in here to come in with any kind of filter of, that doesn't work here. Because every time I hear that, it just really motivates me to show you that you exactly can. Now you can't buy houses for 60% of ARV when you're competing against 45 other investors who already made offers on them. Okay? Then you can't buy them for 60%. You're right. So what my goal is tonight is to quickly and efficiently try to teach you the marketing strategies that are actually working right now to make the phone ring that everybody else and their brother doesn't know about or isn't doing. Cool? Is that good? All right. So what we're going to talk about tonight, and you may have heard of some of these strategies, what you haven't heard of is the marketing that I'm going to teach you behind them. And I'm going to go through this super, super fast because we've got like an hour and a half. So I would strongly encourage you guys, I think it's super cool that you're doing a Saturday workshop for free. I've never in the 5 years that I've been teaching had a REI group that offered a Saturday workshop to their members for free. So
that's why we're Capital City.
It's super freaking cool. It's a minimum $100 every time. And it helped pay for the room and all the stuff that goes along with it. But I will be rushed to present all of this in 8 hours on a Saturday. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to go through it as quick as I can. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. I would prefer if we could hold them to the end, but you're the boss. So however you guys want to do that, I just want to make sure I can get through everything and not get like jammed up on module 1. Yep.
May we take pictures of your slides?
Yeah, take pictures. Have a field day. Yep.
Thank you for asking, Reed. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for asking. All right, so we're going to talk about marketing to probates. I'll get to that in a second. We're going to talk about marketing to short sales, which people say short sales are dead, and I'm here to tell you right now, some of my most successful students right now are extremely successful, are doing short sales right now and just absolutely crushing it. The biggest checks you'll ever see, in my opinion, in real estate investing is from a short sale. I'm going to teach you about this door tag marketing. I'm going to show you this local bank strategy that I can assure you you've never heard of before, and then probably more on Saturday than tonight, we'll get into the mechanics of building a business that serves you instead of you serving it. How to set this real estate business up in a way. How many of you guys in here work full-time jobs? All right, how many of you, if you could replace or double or triple your income in half the time, would quit your full-time job if you could? Some people, yeah, not everybody wants to, and that's cool too. I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm just saying I've helped a lot of people transition out of $100,000 a year IT jobs or $100,000 a year, engineering jobs or whatever it is that they do into full-time real estate, and there's a way to do that, all right? And it's, when you're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week already, and you're a husband or a wife or a father, and then you have to go home and lick stamps and do envelopes until midnight, and then answer the phone and try to work appointments and all that other stuff, it gets easy to give up and quit because there's just not enough time in the day. So I want to teach you guys how to structure your business in a way that it can actually be successful while you're working a full-time job. Fair enough? All And then I'm going to talk about the car sign thing too. So a little bit of my history, and I'll brush through this as quick as I can. In 2001, when I was 21 years old, I opened a mortgage company kind of on a whim. Didn't really have any experience or knowledge or anything at the time. I had a job at a collection agency. Anybody in here ever done that job before? Bill collector? It's the worst job on the face of the earth. If you like getting screamed at and cussed at for 8 to 10 hours a day, it's right down your alley. If you don't, it's a really, really bad place. However, you do get paid pretty good for doing it. And so at 18 years old, that was my first job out of high school. I was going to college full-time, and I was working at the collection agency full-time. And my very first year there, I made like $80,000. And into my second year, I was approaching six-figure income, and I was going to college full-time. And my 18, 19-year-old brain at the time said, all my buddies are going to Mizzou. They're trying to get a 4-year degree. When they get their 4-year degree and graduate, they're going to go try to find a job that pays half as much as I'm already making before I went to school. I think I'll stay at this job thing, right? Because I was money-centered. Like, it didn't matter about the quality of the job. It didn't matter about my quality of life. At 18 or 19 years old, I thought, hey, this is a pretty good gig. This is why I was going to college anyway. What I didn't realize is that that environment was super, super taxing on me. And it was an extremely negative environment of getting yelled at and screamed at and cussed at all day long. And I remember one day that I was leaving the collection agency and I stopped at this little Casey's General Store to fill my car with gas. I had like a 97 Mustang or something at the time. It maybe held $18 worth of gas at the most. And the lady at the register said that I owed her $68 for the gas. And I kind of nicely said, oh no, you must have somebody else. There's no way there was 68. You know, I didn't charge 68. She goes, yes sir, you did charge $68 and you're going to pay the $68. And I proceed to absolutely go ape on this lady and call her every name that you could possibly think of and degrade her into the ground at that Casey's store. And then I remember getting out to my car, and I get in, I sit in, and I kind of like put my head down. I'm thinking, what the hell is happening? This is not Jason Roberts. This is not who I am. That lady, I am no better than that lady working behind that gas station pump, and I'm certainly not any more better or qualified or anything else than her. Thank God she's working and earning a paycheck and taking care of whatever she's got to take care of. Who the hell am I to yell at her? But it was because I had just been, you know, you spend a year getting cussed out every single phone call of the day, man. You're ready to snap. You're ready to snap at your family. You're ready to snap at your friends. And now I'm snapping at strangers. And so at that time, I knew I needed to do something different. I just didn't know what it was. And there was a guy that had gotten into the mortgage business that worked with me at the agency. And that very first year, he got in doing home loans. He made like $100,000. And his second year, he came and I had lunch with him. And it was October, and he had made $280,000 so far that year. Second year ever in the loan business. And I thought, surely it's a whole lot more fun to help people buy a house than it is to call on their delinquent credit cards all day long. I mean, that was my method of thinking, right? So I called down to the state of Missouri and I said, hey, what does it take to open a mortgage company in the state of Missouri? And they said, what's your address? We'll send you the packet. And at the time, it wasn't nearly as crazy as it is to get, you know, now NMLS runs it. Now you have to be licensed. Now there's all these different restrictions. It takes a whole lot more money to open a mortgage company now. Back then, it took $50,000 in cash and a couple bonds, and that was about it. That was what I needed to open a collection agency. And so it took me about a year to save up that money, and April 15th, 2001 was my last day of work at that collection agency, and it was my first day of work being self-employed. And what I didn't think about was that I had spent all the time trying to figure out how to open the company, and I had absolutely no idea how to do the business that I was going into. I had no idea how to originate a home loan. This is what you do when you're 21 years old and open a business, because you're kind of fearless, right? And I remember that morning thinking, oh my God, what did I do? I have absolutely no freaking idea how to do a home loan. I don't even really know what it is. And now I've quit my job, I've got these bills. I had a house, a condo at the time, a car payment, I had all these different things. And I had no idea how to do this loan. And so I was like, I'm getting on Google and I'm trying to like research how to do a home loan. I'm like, how did I not think of this before I quit my job? It sounds really stupid, it's the honest God truth. And I'm kind of the jump out of the plane and build my wings on the way down guy. Rachel's the more organized, task manager, analytical brain thinking, so she keeps me from running off the cliff. So I remember about 9:30 that morning, my doorbell rings, and I walk down. You know, I don't know what normally goes on in the middle of the day. I'm normally at work, and I answer the door, and it's this guy, Jason Job, that worked with me at the collection agency. And he's like, hey, man. I'm like, hey, man. And what are you doing here? Are you supposed to be at work? And he's like, no, man, I quit. And I was like, you quit? Why'd you do that? And he said, well, I want to come do home loans with you. And I was like, no, you don't. Actually, what you want to do is get back in your brand new Trans Am and drive back to client services as fast as you possibly can and make sure your job back. That's what you're going to do. And he's like, I have no money to pay you. I have no idea what I'm doing. And he's like, no, we're going to do it. We're going to figure it out, man. I trust you. We're going to figure it out. Like, it's on you, brother, at this point. I warned you. So, we're in this little spare bedroom in my condo. A couple hours later, the doorbell rings again. I go downstairs. There's this girl named Diane Wentz, who also worked in the collection agency. True story. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And she goes, I just quit my job. And I'm like, this can't be happening. I'm already more stressed out than I was in my old job than this new job. She ends up in the spare bedroom in my condo. By 4 o'clock that day, there's 9 of us in the spare bedroom in my condo. Swear to God. We've got an ironing board with a bunch of like $9 Walmart phones on it because I only got one phone line. My buddy's drilling a hole in the exterior wall of my condo trying to fish these phone lines down so that more than one of us can be on the phone at the same time. We've got one computer, so we're calling all of our friends and family and asking them if they want to refi. But we've only got one computer, so if somebody answers, the person has to like get up and it's this big cluster. And anyway, we probably pissed off every friend and family member we do because we screwed their loans up so bad. But we eventually got some of them closed. That very first month, we closed 8 loans, and we paid for an entire 12 months lease on our office space. We bought all of our office furniture and equipment and computers and all that kind of stuff, and we were in business. Within probably a year or two of that, we had 60, 70 employees. We were doing millions of dollars a month in revenue. I did what I thought everyone was supposed to do when they start making good money and went and built a big house, and my driveway looked like a new car dealership, and I did all of those things that everybody, financial advisors would say that you need to do. You need to have write-offs, you need to have expenses, you need to have mortgage interest, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I did the same thing that everybody else goes and does, and it didn't really matter because it didn't matter how much money I spent, there was more money coming in. I remember at 22 years old, driving to the bank with $600,000 in my pocket. I don't say any of this to impress anybody. Because this story, for any of you that think I'm bragging, this story's going to get real bad real fast. It's going to crash and explode. But I say it to impress upon you that when there's debt and when there's other things around your money and your vision isn't centered in the right place, it doesn't matter how much money you're making. But anyway, things were really, really good for a long time, and then they weren't, right? And then 2007 came. And I got to the office one morning, and I had 9 emails that said, do not fund this loan, do not fund this loan, do not fund this loan. It was every purchase loan that we had closing that day. And if you guys remember this, there wasn't like a warning. There wasn't like a heads up, the economy's going to blow up. It just happened, right? And I remember having to call all 9 of those people. I remember the very first call I made, and this guy, I was talking to the guy, and he sold his house yesterday. He's got his wife and his 3 kids in a U-Haul van parked out front of the title company, and he answers his phone. He's happy as can be. This is the happiest day ever. He sold his house, got money in the bank to buy a new house, and I have to tell this guy that his money isn't going to be there for his house. And of course he says, well, what am I supposed to do? My wife and 3 kids are in this U-Haul truck, and we sold our house yesterday. What the hell are we supposed to do, Jason? And I said, I'm sorry, man, but I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you what you need to do. This is as new to me as it is to you. And I hung up, and it was like the worst phone call ever, and I was just like emotionally drained. And then I remembered that I had 8 more people that I had to call and say that same thing to. And then I thought, oh shit, Monday next week I got 7 more closings, and then 10 on Tuesday, and then 6 on Wednesday. And then, when you're in the real estate business, this goes out 30, 60 days in advance, right? Closings do when you have people pre-approved, so nobody's getting their loans. And at no point in this time did I really think about how that was going to affect me. Until about 2 weeks into it, it kind of started to sink in that, hey, wait a second. If we don't have the money to fund these loans, that means we're not going to get paid for doing these loans, which means there's no money to pay the bills, which means we're going to be in trouble at some point. And luckily, I wasn't irresponsible with my money. We had a lot of money saved. But when you're running an operation with 100 employees, your overhead can get kind of high. When you've got $300,000 or $400,000 worth of printers, scanners, and fax machines in your marketing department, you've got a lot of underwriters and processors on payroll, and they're not cheap. They make good money. We were losing in the neighborhood of 60 to 70 grand a month, every single month for 2.5 years. I lost that money until there was no more money left to lose. Until I had to start making a choice, do I pay the office rent or do I pay my house payment? And so I chose to pay the office rent. And man, I've done so many short sales now at this point. You know, the average short sale customer I work with is like 1.5 years, 2 years delinquent that they haven't paid their mortgage before the bank files foreclosure. Man, I was 120 days bam on the street. And Missouri's a 21-day state. I don't know what you guys are here, but we have 21 days from the date the foreclosure is filed until you're thrown out on the street. It's not like a 6 or 8 month process like it is in a lot of states. It's 21 days. So 120 days delinquent, bam, done. I remember pulling into the bank one day and having my car repossessed, and I had the whole right wing of this big 3-story bank building. I never paid a bill late in my whole entire life. And it's raining, and I just parked out front, and I ran in to get something, and one of the girls like, Jason, somebody's stealing your truck. And I look outside, you know, it's on the tow truck. And I remember going outside in the rain and pleading with the tow truck driver. I had my coat and my laptop and the bag and my cell phone and my wallet and all my stuff in the car, you know. And I'm like playing let's make a deal with the tow truck driver, the repo man, to if I give him the keys to the car, he'll let me get my stuff out. So I'm putting it all in this black trash bag, and I'm carrying it in the rain. I mean, it freaking sucked. It's one of the worst days really in my life. All my identity as a man was wrapped up in the success of that company when I had worked so hard to build, and I was watching it like get cracked and broken away day after day after day right in front of my eyes, and there was nothing I could do to stop it until there wasn't anything left. October 2010, that's a copy of my Chapter 7 Bankruptcy, so that you guys can see it. I don't want to stand up here and tell a story that isn't real. You can see the dates on it, you can see all my info on there. That was October 2010, and that was the same month that I went to this short sale boot camp that was in St. Louis, and it was free. It was the only time that this guy had ever done a free boot camp. Thank God he did, because I was broke as a joke, and I could not have paid anything to go to this boot camp. And I want to show you this because I think a lot of times people think, well, I have a lot of stuff going on, Jason, so I can't, you know, it's different for you, or we make all these excuses. How many of you guys in here made some damn excuse in your life why you didn't do something that you could have absolutely done to change your life? Raise your hand. All right? We do it all the people that don't have their hands up, I guess, aren't telling the truth, right? Because it's happened to all of us, and I don't want anybody in here making excuses as to why you can't make real estate happen, because I can promise you that when I started my real estate investing career, my credit was worse than yours. I can promise you that when I started my real estate investing career, I had less money than anybody sitting in this room. I had a more messed up marriage probably than anybody in this room, and everything that could be bad was bad for me. Does that make sense? You guys with me? All right? So I just wanted to show you that.
Jason.
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have never seen somebody strong enough to stand in their power to put that up there.
Well, thank you.
And I acknowledge you and applaud you for being able to stand in your power to put that up there. That's extraordinary.
Thank you.
And to me, I'm looking at a gift, because that was the pivotal point right there.
Absolutely.
That's on the screen that everybody thinks is such a negative.
Yeah.
That was the defining.
Oh yeah, you're exactly right, and that's thank you very much. And that was the hardest 2 years of my life probably. I struggled on all levels during that period of time of not being able to figure out what was going on. But looking back on it now, you're right. It was the best thing, hands down, that ever happened to me. I learned more from that mess. More of my message came from that mess than. And during it, I was, you know, I'm not the one to say why God, but during that time, I was thinking, what in the hell kind of lesson am I supposed to learn here? I thought I was doing everything right, but I'll kind of get into that a little bit more in a minute. That was October 2010. You can see it. This is 2011, my tax returns. Rachel and I flipped over 100 houses, and we grossed right at $3.6 million in profit that very next year. And there's my tax returns. You can see them if you get close enough. That one's 2.2, that one's like 1.4, and that one's 200 grand. Again, I don't put that up there to impress anybody. I put it up there so that you can see that it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter where you're going. It doesn't matter any of that. If your head's in the right place and you have the right tools and the right equipment and the right mindset to make it happen, you can change any circumstance that you're in. And this is in a market in St. Louis. It's not some big, huge market. This is in a market where my mentor had taught every single real estate investor. We'll do a quick thing. How many of you guys in this room are actively marketing for short sales right now? Raise your hand. 2 people. 2 people in the whole damn room. If I was to ask this at my REIA in St. Louis, I bet 80% of the hands would go up. And the reason being is the guy that mentored me lives in St. Louis, and he had been teaching short sales in St. Louis for like 10 years. So every real estate investor in St. Louis did short sales. I had all the competition in the world, and I was still able to do over 100 deals and make that kind of money. So that's why I want to impress upon you guys tonight that the marketing strategies that I'm going to teach a little bit tonight and morely on Saturday are not the traditional things that everyone else is doing. If we want to make more money, if you want to have a higher response rate, if you want to get more deals, we've got to go some unconventional ways that the whole herd isn't going. You guys with me?
Yeah.
All right. So right now, I've done 400 plus flips since 2010. Rachel and I coach some of the top real estate investors in the country. I own Freedom Capital, which is a hard money lending business, which my background in lending kind of plays perfect into this. That's really my retirement. We do hard money loans for our coaching students all over the country. Again, it's not a plug for hard money. You probably have some great resources here at your REIA that can help you with that. Go to them first. If they can't help you, call me. But that's something that's kind of in our wheelhouse. We take all of our proceeds, or a lot of our proceeds, from the flip houses that we've done, and we put it into our hard money lending business. I pull on annual 30 to 40% annual return from the hard money lending business, so it's a fantastic retirement tool for me. It takes very, very little time and has a good payoff. Rachel and I own Life REIA in St. Louis, and we have 7 different companies that we own and control now. I just bought in December a 30% stake in a girl's idea of a Spanish school. And at the time, she was just in 10 schools. And she was a coaching student of mine. And I said, we can continue to help you with this business in a coaching capacity, or Rachel and I can write you a check, and we can help you blow this thing up. And she said, write me a check. So we wrote her a 6-figure check because it was a 7-figure idea. And what is this, October? We're in 186 schools in the last 10 months. We went from 10 to 186 all across the country. Super cool. So I guess what I'm trying to explain there is that if you're setting things up right, you're setting your team up right, you're building things in the right way, this does not have to be 14-hour-a-day business. Does that make sense? You guys with me? You can do this part-time. You can do it in the free time that you have. That's Rachel. She was in the back, but she just had a brand new baby, so she's got baby stuff that she's got to run out and do every couple hours. But they'll be here. She's here tonight, and they'll be here when we come up to do the Saturday workshop. So I want you guys to write this down real quick, okay? If you're taking notes, write this down. If you're not, write it on your arm or your leg or the guy sitting next to you, forehead or whatever. So this is what I came up with sitting in this little rundown farmhouse that I was living in when I got wiped out. And after being depressed for a year and a half and feeling sorry for myself, I kind of finally woke up and I was like, okay, I got to do something to change this. Something has to be different. And here's one thing I know. I've read books on success. I've read books on self-development. I've read books on neuroassociative conditioning. I know how the brain works. I know how all that stuff works. I've been studying it for a really, really long time. And so I know that success is duplicatable. I know that that if you copy what successful people do, if you watch their habits, if you watch their routines, if you watch their discipline, and you implement those in your own life, then you will get the exact same results with time. Make sense? It's a real simple concept. It's why I'm able to take startup companies all the time and have them be successful overnight, because once you learn how to do it, it becomes very easily reproducible. All right? And so I was thinking to myself when I'm wiped out, like, I've got to do something. I've got to get back on my feet. I've got to figure it out. What did I do before that ended me up with success that I can just recreate and do again? And so here's what I came up with. And yes, I know it says 3 and there's 4, and that's on purpose. Number 1 is you have to have a recipe or blueprint. Can anybody in here tell me what I mean by recipe or blueprint real quick? Plan of action, what else? It's methodology, sure. It's probably everything that everybody just said rolled into one. Like when you think about a blueprint to build a house, right? It's a plan, it's instructions, it's a material list, it's step by step every single thing that I need to do in order to get there, right? So if you're wanting to be the best real estate wholesaler in the country, then I would find the best real estate wholesaler in the country and buy their course or buy their training or go to their seminar or ask them to mentor you or do whatever you have to do to acquire that knowledge and just copy it, because it's a whole lot quicker than running out and trying to figure it out on your own, okay? So you have to have a recipe or blueprint of whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now, you can go out and wing it and try to figure it out on your own and spend 10 years and a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of money, but what I bet you probably do before that is give up or quit and say real estate didn't work, and that's not what I want for anybody in here. So write that down. Number 2, the ability to take massive action. This is probably the biggest one that I struggle with newer investors, okay? They have the tools, they know what they need to do in order to get there, but they're just not taking any action on it, right? They know that they need to lose 20 pounds. They know they need to quit eating as much food, but they're still eating the food, right? It makes sense? We all do this. We're all guilty of it. We don't escape it. But in business, we don't necessarily have time for that. So ability to take massive action is supremely important, especially for you analytical, cognitive, engineer type thinking people. You will want to know step 17 before you do step 1, okay? Rachel's not in here, so I can say all the bad stuff I want about you guys, because she's the exact same way. Here's the thing. If you don't ever do step 1, you never need to do step 17. So it doesn't really matter what step 17 is. I'm not saying be reckless or irresponsible. What I'm saying is everyone in here in this room will learn better by immersion than they will by reading out of a book or doing anything else. We learn by doing better. Fair enough? When I'm like 5 hours away from getting my pilot's license for a helicopter just for fun. And I remember my very first lesson that I went to, I thought it would be like ground school, right? I thought they would like, here's what this does, and here's what this does, and here's what this does, and I'd be sitting in a classroom for 2 weeks. No. Guy throws me in the helicopter, we get in, I think maybe we're just going on a, whatever ride, and he like picks it up and he brings it over to this little practice area, and he goes, put your right hand here, put your left hand here, put your right foot there, put your left foot there. And I'm just doing what he says, he's got his own set of controls. And then he kind of puts his hands up in the air and he's like, controls are yours. And I'm like, oh, no, controls are not mine. I've been in this thing for 5 minutes. We're gonna put that bird on the ground fast. I have no business holding this stuff. But he knew what he was doing. And what happens is you learn by doing significantly faster than I would ever learn how to do that reading out of a book. Does that make sense? And so, that. Mentor or coach, absolutely necessary. Look at anybody that's successful. I'm not here again to sell mentoring or coaching or anything else. What I'm saying is if you look at any successful person in any walk of life that has a degree of success that you're aspiring to reach to, they have coaches and mentors in their life that they pay for, or maybe that they don't pay for. Maybe you have a free coach or mentor. Maybe they come to groups and meetings like this. But point is, look at what you want to emulate and model, and look at their habits and look what they do and model after. You guys with me? Does that make sense? All right? And then number 4 is a written vision. I added this after the fact. And the reason why I added after the fact is, remember I told you about that working those crazy hours and doing all that stuff? So when I got wiped out and we had success, I closed 100-something deals in 2011. We made a lot of money. I also started working 15 hours a day again. I reproduced the exact same thing that I had done before. And that was right around the time that Steve and Sean sat down with me and went through that thing. And I remember I was just kind of learning about this vision thing. I was just kind of learning about who Jason was outside of running a business. And I realized that what I had just built, again, was in direct conflict of what I wanted my life to look like. For me, I want geographical freedom. I've been locked down in St. Louis for way too long. I want a business that I can run from anywhere in the country. I like to travel. I like to travel around the world. I like to go on vacations. I like to see new places. I like to experience new things. I can't do that if I'm tied down in St. Louis all the time. Maybe you don't have a problem with being tied down. This is my rules, right? This is my vision. This is how I felt about what I wanted. And as I started to get clear on that, I realized that business that I had built was not a reflection of how I wanted to live my life. And so we really started to retool and rekey it. Right now to this day, we do pretty much all probate. I close 2 to 4 deals a month. We average about 30 grand net a piece on them. I've got 6 other businesses that provide me income too. I don't, if you can close 3 deals a month for 30 grand a pop, is that a bad living? Is that all right? I mean, you can't live on it forever, but it's a start, right? It's not bad, right? Point is that we don't have to do this incredible amount of volume or incredible amount of business to have a really cool life. So with doing 3 deals a month, I didn't need support staff. I didn't need negotiators. I didn't need this staff of people. I can run that with a part-time marketing assistant and me and Rachel and do just fine. I don't even have to really be that involved in it. Make sense? So you don't, I'm not telling you, some of you in here may want to do 10, 15 deals a month. Some of you might be cool doing 3 a year. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. I just want you to think about the differences, okay? But that written vision will help you understand why. I want you to write down this too. I think this is probably one of the most important things. I was on a flight to Tampa, I guess, Rachel, are you in here? No?
Not yet.
I don't remember when it was, 6-8 months ago. And I was on the plane, and I'm not here to, I don't know where your religion stands. I'm not here to push God down your throat. It's just, I know where it stands for me, so I'll tell the story as it was. So I'm on the plane, and I'm just kind of having a conversation with God, and kind of like asking, like, why am I here? I don't really want to fly to Tampa. I don't really want to spend Saturday teaching a Saturday real estate investing workshop. I mean, I'm happy to, but I'm taking this time away from my family. I'm taking this time away from why you put me here to go teach a real estate investing seminar. And to be honest, I'm kind of aggravated because only a small percent of the people that I teach this stuff to actually go out and implement it. And it's so freaking aggravating. And so I don't really want to fly all the way to Tampa and leave my family at home so that I can go talk to a room of 100 people and only 10 people change their life, and the other people go back and doing the damn same things they were doing before they came to the meeting. And so I'm like having this conversation, and I'm like, why? Why is it that I can talk to a room of 100 people, and 10 people go out and implement what I taught, and they make $500,000, and they pay their house off, and they pay their cars off, and they pay all their debt off, and they change their life drastically, and the other people in the room go back and they don't implement any of it, life doesn't change, and life stays the same, and they keep, why is that? Why is that happening? And that's when it really hit home and came to me that 80% of success is psychological and 20% of it's mechanics. Write that down. If you're not writing that down, you're crazy. I'm here to tell you this right now. You can have the best mechanics in the world, and if this thing is messed up, you will never ever get results. I'm telling you right now. I've worked with Fortune 1000 companies. I've helped build sales departments in some of the largest insurance companies in the country. I've been around sales environments a lot, and I can tell you that if this is messed up, if you're in the wrong state of mind when you go to approach these things, none of the mechanics matter. Now, I can give you mechanics that will help you get to the finish line 10 years faster than if you don't have them. Make sense? But if we're not programming this thing right, and so that's really what I've tried to focus on. I'm going to give you mechanics, but I'm also going to give you some of the things that help you control what this thing is doing. Does that make sense? Is that cool? Yeah. So we'll spend an hour, probably an hour of that on Saturday, of just some things to do to get your mind right so that when you do have all this stuff lined up, we don't mess it up and self-sabotage it. Because this is like a 2,000-year-old engine or computer that was built to keep us from dying. It wasn't built to create success. It wasn't built to teach us how to make more, live better. It wasn't designed for any of that. It was designed to keep us away from predators. It was designed to keep us away from falling into holes. It was designed to keep us from falling into traps. And so this thing pre-programs don't, won't, can't, bad, shouldn't, don't, block, right? And so we kind of have to reprogram that a little bit if we want to have a different degree of success. That make sense? Yeah. All right. So, what are the blueprints that are making the biggest cash right now? Let's get into this. What time is it? 8? All right, so let's talk about probates. This, for me, probably the first 200 house flips that I did were all short sales. I love short sales. We're going to talk about short sales. I can teach you how to make a lot of money with short sales. They are more labor intensive. They do require more work. There's more follow-up. There's more talking to the banks. There's just more legwork involved in it, okay? And so when Rachel and I decided that we wanted to gear our business in a different direction, when we decided that we wanted to make things a little bit easier on us and have less involvement, that's when we decided to shift from short sales to probate. And the reason why I went to probate is just because it was an easier to get to the finish line model. It's not necessarily more profitable, but it's just easier to get the revenue that we needed to get. If we wanted to do 2 to 4 closings a month without having to do a whole bunch of work, without overhead, without employees, with all that stuff, this is a really easy way to do it. Does anyone in here not know when I say probate, do you not know what that means? It's okay. I know probably a lot of you don't. So probate just, it's kind of, there's no real easy way to explain it without being kind of morbid. So let's just do that. Let's say that let's say that my mom passes away and she has a house in Troy, Missouri, where I grew up, and it's free and clear, right? And she passes away and she wills the house to me. And I live here in DC with you guys, let's say, right? So my mom lives in St. Louis, I live here in DC. She passes away, she wills me this house. It's worth $200,000, it's free and clear. Your initial response is what? Great, right? I got a long initial response is, oh no, my mom died. But come on now, man. It's not your mom, so you don't care, right? So my initial response is, cool, free house, right? I got free $200,000. And then reality starts to set in that it's not winter yet in St. Louis, so now I have to hire somebody to go over there and cut the grass because nobody's over there cutting the grass anymore. Now I got to get the house locked up. Oh, but it's about to be winter, so I got to go get the pipes taken care of so that the pipes don't burst in the winter. There's all, kids now that they know no one's there, they're going in, they're spray painting the walls. There's all, tax bill just came in December and it's $2,000. How am I going to pay that? There's all these things that start to come into play that make this free inherited house. And by the way, my mom hasn't updated the house since 1970, so it's still got old shag carpet, and it's got the entire basement full of all of her stuff that really isn't worth anything, but she thought that it was because she grew up kind of in the recession and they hoard everything. And so we've got all this stuff now that sounded great, but now I have to drive to St. Louis and coordinate a moving truck, and I got to deal with all this old stuff, and what seemed like a blessing is now kind of a curse. You with me? Yeah. So that's what probate is. And so as real estate investors with probate, what our job is to try to get a hold of me and say, hey, Jason, I realize you live in D.C. I'm actually in St. Louis. I live a couple streets over from your mom's place. I'm looking for a house to redo in that neighborhood, and I was wondering if you guys were interested in selling it. Okay? That's the kind of moral behind probate investing, is we're trying to find people that just inherited a house that probably don't want to keep that house for themselves. And in most cases, it's a situation where the parents owned it 20 or 30 years. Very rarely does it have money owed against it. Sometimes they'll have a small mortgage, but very rarely is there much money owed against them. More often than not, they haven't been updated in 20, 30, 40 years. They're the same condition they were when the family bought it. And most of the time, there's a degree of emotional attachment from the kids, but it's not too crazy. As a matter of fact, I can tell you most of the probate deals that Rachel and I do, we're cool to people. We tell them, we're going to fix this up and we're going to make it look great. And they almost always say, Mom and Dad always wanted to fix it up, man. They would be so proud of this. Is there any way, do you guys mind if we come through it when you guys get it done? And every time Rachel and I, the very first call we make before we let anybody see the house is the kids. And we let them come through the house, and they cry, and they give us a hug, and they tell us thank you so much. It's a really cool transaction, right? Because we're helping people, we're taking something that meant something to them and making it mean even more, and we're also, turning a profit and making money at the same time, and everybody's happy. You with me? All right. So that's a little bit about what probate is. That's the process of it. This kind of gives you an idea by state of some of the counties and whether or not. Very first thing that we have to do for probate is we have to figure out where to get the data, right? So where do I get a list of people? How am I going to mail these people? How am I going to call them? How am I going to find them on Facebook? How am I going to do all these different things, right? We have to be able to find that data. On Saturday, I'll get in depth a whole lot more about what we're looking for and the case types and all that kind of stuff. But this is kind of an intro to that. So in Missouri, I have this thing called CaseNet. All right, you guys may have it here, and we'll get into it more on Saturday. But what I'm looking for here is these specific probate case types that more than likely have real estate associated with them. And there's several that do, and I'll get into that in a second. But we're looking for them here. Every county, every state has a different way to search, but this will kind of give you an idea. So I want you guys to take a picture of this or write these down. So these are the case types that we're looking for, all right? This doesn't guarantee that they have real estate attached to them, but these are the ones that most likely have real estate attached to them. And what I have found is it's cheaper and easier once I filter by this to just mail the letter out to them and let them respond than it is to spend 20 minutes digging through the record to find out whether or not there's real estate owned on it or not, right? This letter, all said and done, cost me about $1. It's going to cost me way more to spend 20 or 30 minutes to dig through that thing, okay? So here's what we're looking for those of you who can't see. Will admitted or rejected. That's a case type, all right? Will filed only. Determination of heirship. Small estate affidavit. Now, small estate affidavit one typically means that the estate is valued at less than 40 grand. But I disregard that because county assessments are always way, way, way off. And like in some of the counties I live in, they'll have a $200,000 house and it'll say assessed for $38,000. It doesn't mean they think it's worth $38,000. It just is based on their tax code. But when it comes up in the computer that way, it implies that. And so I don't want to miss out on any of those. All right. Refusal of letter spouse. I'm not going to go through the definitions again. I'll get into it more on Saturday. Independent with or without will. Amend order refusing letters, and election of surviving spouse. So again, I'll give you a better explanation when I have more time because I've got like 4 more modules to go through, but at least get that stuff down for tonight. Make sense? Those are the case types that we want to pull. All right? And then we need to collect data from each one of those records. So here's what we need. Write this down too. We need the decedent. We need their name and address. That's the person that passed away. And then we need the personal representative. We need their name. We need their address. And sometimes on those records, sometimes you will find an email or phone number. So if we can get that, we want to get that. All right? Next thing that we're looking for is heirs. So the same thing, name, address, email, phone number if we can find it. Okay? And then the attorney. We want the attorney's name, address, phone number, and email. All right? What you will find most educators, most real estate educators teach is a one-dimensional marketing approach to any form of real estate investing. There is a reason why in my market in St. Louis, when Sean had taught every single real estate investor how to do short sales, there's a reason why I went into that shark-infested mess of real estate investors and was able to close over 100 deals when everyone in that whole damn town was doing the same thing. And the reason was, I'm marketing to them in a significantly different way than everyone else. Everyone else is dropping mail waiting for the phone to ring, okay? I hit them from like 6 or 7 different directions, and we'll get into that with these marketing strategies. But the key to this is, there was 2 studies done that I've read, one from Harvard and one from MIT. They were sales business studies, and you should look them up. There's all kinds of super interesting. If you're interested in anything to do with sales, there's a lot of really super interesting information in those 2 studies. One of the things that they found, and this is old, you probably heard this before, but 80% of all sales are made after the 5th contact. 80%. So every single investor in here that's making one contact with one letter, which is probably everyone in this room, with the exception of a few that are closing a lot of deals, that means that 80% of us are giving up on 80% of the deals before they were ever even a deal because we only reached them one time. I know this before I started doing short sales because I knew a lot about marketing back from the mortgage business days. And so my thought was, how can I get to 5 as fast as possible? Because I want to get to the sale. If 80% of sales are made after this contact, then I want to make like 5 contacts today so I can go and make the sale, right? I got bills to pay. I'm broke, man. I just got wiped out. I'm living in this crappy farmhouse. It's got mice.
How about now?
My car got repoed. So I want to hit that as fast as possible. So my mind got to thinking, how can I reach these people from as many different angles as I possibly can? That's what I'm going to teach you in all these different modules, okay? So the marketing campaign, again, I hate to keep saying this, but I'll get into detail of this on Saturday. But you need a 4-letter marketing campaign to all the personal representatives and all the heirs, okay? We're going to mail that every 6 weeks, and I'm going to give you guys some examples of my letters and stuff on Saturday. Don't go reinventing the wheel with this. Take my stuff, copy it, and use it exactly as it is. Okay? Every time I do this, every time I do a group like this, I give people the opportunity. We'll do 4 weeks of telephone, helping you get your business set up, helping you get your marketing going, helping you get results stuff after this. And every single time I do this, I'll have 20 or 30 people on the call after a group like this. And I'll go through the first person. How many marketing pieces did you send out? What type of response rate did you get? How many people did you talk to? How many appointments did you set? You know, we go through the list. Everybody's getting calls. Everybody's getting appointments. And then I get to this one person who says, I knew this wasn't going to work. And I'm like, well, it's working for the last 7 people that went. Let's find out why it's not working for you. And so we'll go through the thing, go through their data almost every single time. It's because they changed the verbiage on the letter, they changed the verbiage on the envelope, they started putting things around, they put a picture of their dog in the letter, they did all this stuff that I never ever said to do. I swear. And I'm not saying I'm smarter than anybody else, all right? What I am saying is that what I'm going to teach you isn't some crap I've made up and printed on my computer. This is real world, implemented and out in the street, getting results right now, making people hundreds of thousands of dollars a year worth of money letters. And if you go changing up that recipe on your own, you're going to get a different cake. Now, hopefully your cake is better than mine. And then you can call me and say, Jason, I changed up your stuff and I got better results than you. I'm going to say, cool, send it over because I want to start teaching people that. But until that day comes, use my stuff and pay your house off or something first, and then go, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to stupid. Then go change the letter around and call me and let me know we're better than mine, okay? Don't just do that first. Like, get some results first. Make sense? All right? A 2-letter marketing campaign to the attorney. So I have a different letter that goes to the attorney. And one thing that I want you guys to write this down. When we're communicating in any type of sales environment, the question that we always want to ask is, what's in it for them? Okay? Quit with all the we buy houses, I can pay cash and close that all that stuff is fine and well. but it has to speak to who your customer is. Okay? Do you think that my short sale customer who's 2 weeks away from getting thrown out on the street cares that you can pay cash and close quick? They don't care. You know what they care about? Where their wife and kids are going to go in 2 weeks. Right, that's what they care about. They don't care that I can pay full price for their house because in their mind, they owe more than what the house is worth. So why would I pay them anything for their house because they're over leveraged, all right? We've got to really think about how we're communicating to people. Yet everybody else in St. Louis is mailing this letter saying, I'll pay cash and close quick. And the whole rest of the world. We've got to really think about who our customer is. Are we going to communicate with this attorney a little bit differently than we're going to communicate with the homeowner? Yes or no? Yes, drastically different. So these letters are different. This follow-up series is different. I'll get into more detail on it on Saturday, but this is what it looks like. We're going to Facebook message. We're going to find them on social media, and we're going to Facebook message the personal rep, all the heirs, and the attorney. Okay? And again, I'll get into what that looks like and how to do it on Saturday, but this absolutely works. One of my students, one of Rachel and students in Wisconsin, closed a $96,000 deal last month off a Facebook message that he didn't rehab it. He didn't do anything. He got the property under contract, he negotiated with the bank, he closed on it, resold it, made $96,000 plus he got the real estate commission. Okay, not a bad gig for sending a Facebook message, right? I can tell you story after story after story of that all night long. That one just happened. We're going to send a LinkedIn message to the attorney. I'll show you what to say to these guys on Saturday when I have more time, but I'm giving you exactly what needs to be done. Anybody in here know what skip trace means? Okay. Anybody not know? Okay, so skip tracing really is
Just did a webinar last night.
you did you? So what skip tracing is finding somebody that doesn't want to be found, or maybe finding somebody that we can't necessarily find. Back in the collection days, I would get an account from Discover, right? It was a $6,000 credit card that Seth didn't pay. Okay, so Seth's got a $6,000 Discover card. Not really. I'm just saying. Seth has a $6,000 Discover card he didn't pay. It got sent to me at the collection agency, and now I have to collect on it. So I called the number that's on the account, and beep, 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 it's disconnected, right? So now I got this account that I'm responsible for Seth, but the phone number is disconnected. What do? So we would send it to the skip trace department. And in this department, there's a bunch of people whose job was to track Seth down and try to find him. So there's all kinds of online resources. Let's say Seth goes and applies for another credit card somewhere else. He puts down his name, he puts down his address, he puts down his cell phone number. Oh, he needed a cosigner. He put down his mom's name, he put down his mom's cell phone number. Maybe he goes to get an apartment, maybe he goes to turn a utility on. Every time we're putting our name and information anywhere, it's all getting gathered up somewhere. And these companies that have access to this stuff, they sell access to it, will give you a lot of really cool information. So back in the collection days, they would give me the neighbor's phone number. And that back then was when people still had home phones, there wasn't as many cell phones, and almost everybody had cordless. So I would call the neighbor, and I'd be like, hey, I've been trying to get a hold of Seth, your neighbor, for like 2 weeks, and he's not returning my calls, and I don't know if he's okay, I don't know what's going on over there. Do you mind going and knocking on the door and just see, as a matter of fact, I'll stay on the phone with you. And they walk, you hear him walking, knock, knock, knock. Seth? Yeah, there's somebody on the phone for you. Maybe that's why I get cussed out all the time, right? Maybe that's why I get cussed out all the time. I don't know. It's my job to get the money, so that's what I did. Wow. Right. So that's kind of what skip tracing is, only this way it's in a positive way. So we might get the neighbor's phone number, we might get mom or dad's cell phone number, we might get their job information. Any information that's there we can use to try to track that person down and find them. Some of the most successful real estate investors in the country are avid skip tracers. You know why? Because everyone else is too lazy. And everyone else does it. How many, you saw how the hands went up? What was there, 6 hands went up in a room of 100? And so what that means is most real estate investors aren't bothering reaching out to them. That means that they're only getting 1 offer or 0 offers on their house that needs to be sold instead of 60 offers that the house on the MLS got. Make sense? You guys with me? All right. So we skip trace everyone. I'll get into some of the good ones. Intellius, Lexus, Nexus, TLO. I'll kind of show you about those and kind of what they mean a little bit more on Saturday. Outbound call to the personal representative, heirs, and attorney. So we're going to reach out to them also. I've got some scripts that you guys can use that will really help you with that practice. But how many of you here kind of get nervous about making outbound calls? Like that ain't really your thing? Be honest. Yeah, it's usually 30-40% of the room. So I'll give you some stuff to kind of follow them. But what I really want to change your mind frame about is that we're not, if your heart's in the right place with this and you're genuinely trying to help people, and you're generally trying to help them out of a situation that they're in, this call becomes significantly easier. If the call is all about you and how much money you're going to make and how great you are, it becomes a very selfish, uncomfortable call. Make sense? But if I'm really genuinely trying to help them, and by default I'm going to get a really cool check for it, then it's just a different mindset. So I go into every one of those transactions with what I can do to help them. What can I do to help them? And not every time is it me buying their house, right? Sometimes I can refer them to a good realtor because they don't need an investor to come in. Sometimes I can help them with a moving company. Sometimes I can just help talk to them for 30 minutes out of a bad spot. There's all kinds of cool stuff I can do to help. And sometimes they actually end up liking me and they want to sell me their house. So that's kind of how that works. Make sense? So much of real estate investing is more about creating a relationship than it is about your offer price. I can tell you probably the last 10 probate deals that Rachel and I did that were referred to us from an attorney, the last one we disclosed on, our offer was $10,000 lower than the other offer that they got on the house. But they sold the house to us because they trusted us. 10 grand. I can't say that necessarily that I would have done that, but it's very relational. It's very much about trust. It's very much about liking the person that you're doing business with. So I just strongly encourage you guys to just be as real as you can possibly be. I have in our coaching group, Colonel?
Yes.
Colonel?
Yes.
He's Colonel in the Air Force, so super high up. He's got thousands and thousands of people under him. He's getting ready to retire from the Air Force, and he's doing some real estate stuff on the side. This guy is a super cool guy. Everybody loves him. He's a commander, right? He's a freaking colonel. He's in charge of thousands and thousands of people. He orders people around for a living. That's all he's done for the last 20 years. And this guy calls us. He's getting all these calls and all this stuff, and he's not getting any deals. And so Rachel and I was like, what the hell is going on with you, man? Everything's working. Like, you're the most capable guy out of all of us. You should be kicking everybody's butt. Why are you not? And he's like, man, I don't really want to talk about it. And we're like, well, you need to talk about it, man, because you're paying us to get you results, and you're not getting them. What's up? And he's like, I'm just way too nervous to talk to these people on the phone. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You're running like bombing missions all over the world. You're the pilot for the freaking governors and presidents and kings when they come over here. Like, you're getting them in a private jet and flying them over. Like, you've got all of this skill set, and you're scared to talk to this homeowner that has this little probate house to sell. But that's the reality, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of where we are and how we psych ourselves out in the situation. He was just the least likely guy I would have ever thought that would say that. But everybody deals with that to a degree. And so how we helped him overcome that was we gave him the scripts that we use, and it's very much about what we can do to help them. Is it much easier to call somebody and ask them what you can do to help them than it is to try to sell them something? Fair enough? Yes or no? Yeah. All right. So we'll focus on that. All right? And a property questionnaire. This is kind of an example of what one of our envelopes look like. I'll get into a little more on Saturday. But here's the thing about this. Wedding style envelope. I don't even get my mail anymore. But if I did, you think this is a little bit more likely to get opened than the traditional rectangular, looks like junk mail thing, right? Never ever use postage, or never ever use postage metered stamps. People won't open them. Never ever use a P.O. box as a return address. Okay, just stupid little things that will drastically affect your response rate. I'll get into way more of these tricks on Saturday when we have more time. But just to kind of give you an idea of some of the mistakes that you don't want to make if your marketing isn't working, it could be one stupid little thing. Okay? I'll cover that more a little bit. So to give you guys kind of a roadmap to start with or go off of for probate, number one thing that you need to do is determine your market area. So determine, where am I going to launch this probate stuff? And so tonight and Saturday, I don't want you guys to get overwhelmed, because really I'm like teaching you 5 different real estate investing strategies. What I want you to do is absorb all this tonight, absorb all of it on Saturday, and then pick 1 or 2 that seem like made the most sense to you. You guys with me? Don't go out and try to implement all this. It's going to be way too overwhelming. You're like, what the heck did he say? Surely tonight and surely on Saturday, after 8 hours, you're going to say, that one sounds really cool to me. And that's going to be different for everybody. And that's the one that you should probably gravitate towards and start with. Does that make sense? I should have told you guys that earlier, because I know it's a lot of information, but when you break it down, it's not that hard. So with this, we want to determine our market area. For me, I market to 5 counties within an hour radius of Lake St. Louis, Missouri, where I live. So get on a map, and I draw an hour, because I don't want to do a rehab that's more than an hour away. I don't want to go meet a homeowner that's more than an hour away. I don't want to be in the car for more than an hour, right? So whatever that is for you. For me, it's 5 counties that encompass that hour radius. St. Louis, St. Charles, Warren, Lincoln, Jefferson. Those are the 5 counties that I market in. So
It's 5 miles.
what's that? 5 miles for you? Yeah, right.
For an hour.
Yeah, for an hour. Right. Luckily, you have a lot more population radius than me. So, so figure out what that is and where you want to go. Okay. Number 2, we got to figure out where we're getting our data from. So determine which counties have online access. Determine which ones don't. How we're going to pull that data in each independent county, right? So we need to get that in all the areas that we're marketing in. You need to find out who's sending your marketing out. On Saturday, I'll talk a little bit about, Rachel will do a segment on how to find, hire, and train a profitable assistant. Rachel has hired and fired probably 500 people in the last 17 years. She's an absolute expert at finding A players and putting them in the right place, okay? And for a lot of people, they think, oh my gosh, an assistant, I don't even want to deal with that. I'm here to tell you right now, if you guys, let's just say I got dropped off here tonight, and I couldn't go home to my family, I couldn't go home to my friends, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't utilize any of my old resources, I couldn't access my bank account, I could do absolutely nothing. And all of us in this room had to race to see who could make the most money in real estate first. The very first thing I would do would not be to start my marketing, the very first thing I would do would be to find a fantastic admin assistant that can help carry some of the burden, that can help start getting some of my marketing out, that can help pull in my data, that can start doing things that make a little bit more sense. Does that make sense? You guys with me? It is the highest priority payoff task. Here's the deal. You look at any company, any income earner in the world, and 100% of their income and the growth and the size of their company is in 100% relation to their own ability to delegate. Write that down. How much money I make, how big my company grows is in 100% in proportion to my own ability to delegate.
Amen.
Okay? So what that means is, if you're working 40 or 50 hours a week at your full-time job and coming home and being a husband or a wife or a dad or a mom, and then you're trying to be a real estate investor. How many of you guys in here have read the book, The E-Myth?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, for those of you who don't have your hand up, buy the book and read it. Seriously. But what it really talks about is when we work in our company, we have a specific job. How many of you here have a full-time job? Raise your hand. Okay. What do you do, man? What do you do?
I'm a software engineer.
Software engineer. How about you? Statistician? Okay. So, software engineer, statistician, right? At your software engineer job, do you cut payroll checks? How come?
Do I? Yeah.
No. Do you cut payroll checks to other employees?
I don't own it. I work
I
there.
know. Yeah. I'm just asking. No. I understand. Do you clean the bathrooms? No. Do you order supplies? No. Do you do insurance for people? No. All right.
I want to own it.
No, I wasn't getting at that you should own it. What I was getting at is that I thought you said that you were a software engineer. Yeah. So what do you do? Software engineering, right?
I code.
Yeah. Thank you. You're laughing, but when you go and open up this real estate company and you start ordering supplies and you start doing the marketing and then you run the homeowner appointment and then you set up the payroll and then you pay yourself and then you start doing your books on QuickBooks and you start doing these 17 other jobs, then it's not funny anymore. And that's what everyone in this room does. That's what everybody does, okay? For some reason, when they're employed in a real environment, a company, they have a very specific role. But when we go out and we start our own business, we think that we have to assign every one of those roles to ourselves. And that's why they never work, because we're trying to do all these different things that we're not set out to do and that there's not enough time in the day to do, okay? So one thing that Rachel and I do for bigger businesses, people pay us a lot of money, and they come and sit in our office for a day, and we break their whole business down, and we put it right back together, okay? People fly people in from all over the world to do this half-day thing with us where we break their business down. Marketing guys, people you see on TV and webinars and stuff like that. And we take their business and we break it down and we put it back together. One of the very first things that we do is this whiteboard exercise where we write out, think about your real estate investing business, right? And you're going to write down every single task that it takes to get your real estate investing business from the start to the finish. That means pull data, that means mail letters, that means answer phone calls, that means order title, that means, all these things. What you'll find is that there's about 200 to 250 individual tasks that have to be done, okay, between 200 and 250, okay? Next thing that we're going to do after we write them out all over the board is we're going to go back and we're going to circle, and actually I want everybody in this room to do this right now. I want you to write down in your notebook on your piece of paper how much money you want to earn in the next 12 months from real estate investing. Write it down. How much money, put it in your phone, whatever. How much money do you want to earn from real estate investing over the next 12 months? You don't write it down, it's never going to happen. Everybody got their number? I don't care what it is. It doesn't have to be $1 million. Maybe $100 grand changed your life. Then write down $100 grand. Write down whatever it is. You got it? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right? The next thing I want you to write down is how many hours of your life you're willing to take away from your family, take away from your friends, take away from your husband, take away from your wife, take away from your kids. How many hours a week are you willing to trade of your life for that money? Okay? And I want anybody in this room to write down maybe more than 30 hours, and I think 30 hours is too much. But write down how many hours per week you're willing to trade away for that dollar amount that you just wrote down on the piece of paper. You guys with me? Yes? Okay, you got the number? Everybody got it? Now take that hours per week that you're willing to give away of your life and times it by 52 weeks. Times 5, 2. Write the number down. 52. 52 weeks in a year. Okay? Everybody got it? Now I want you to take the big number, 200,000, 500,000, million, whatever it is, and I want you to divide it by those yearly hours. So 300,000 divided by 1,200 hours, whatever it is. Do it. You got some answers?
You said divided by your hours?
Yes, divided by the yearly hours. You know what that is? That's your dollar per hour that you need to make in order to arrive at your goal. Okay? Anybody want to spit out some dollars per hour that they need to make? Go ahead.
180.
$180 an hour. What else? 200. What else? 769. Okay? They're all over the place. That's cool. Circle that number because this is going to be very, very important. This is what's going to determine whether or not you actually end up becoming successful with this, guys. That number, circle it. So when you got this big whiteboard, you got your 250 tasks written up there that need to get done, the next thing I want you to do is take a big marker and I want you to go circle the ones that pay $180 an hour. Or circle the ones that pay $769 an hour. Does pulling data pay $769 an hour? No. So guess what? You can't do it. If you do it, you now have to increase the amount of hours that you're going to work or decrease your hourly wage that you're willing to work for. Either way, you don't end up at your goal. Make sense? This is why everybody sacrifices away their dreams and their wishes because this simple thing. Okay? And then everybody says, well, who else is going to do it? We'll get to that. I'll teach you how to do that. But you've got to get your mind right first. Okay? If it doesn't pay $769 an hour, I don't do it, period. So, but it's still got to get done. So how else is it going to get done? I don't know. But those are the questions you need to start asking yourself is, it still has to get done. How else can I get this done without me having to do it? When you start asking the right questions, start getting the right answers, and things start looking a little bit differently. But what we normally don't do is we say, oh, this has to get done. I'm the owner, so I'll do it. And we end up spending our whole week doing $8 an hour tasks when we should only be doing the $700 an hour tasks. Make sense? Okay, all right. So, next strategy I want to talk to you guys about is local banks, okay? I have till 9, right, Olga? 9, all right. This is super cool. Guarantee you've never heard of this before. Guarantee you nobody up here is doing this.
Hey, as much time as you need, 9, 10,
All right, let's keep on going.
We're free till next Saturday. So.
Oh, perfect. All right. I don't have anywhere I got to be tonight, so I'll just keep on going. So here's the deal with this local bank thing. My buddy Doug, coaching student of mine, lives in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. And I don't even know.
everywhere in Iowa, isn't it?
Pretty much everywhere in Iowa, yeah. I think he's like 2.5 hours away from a Walmart, to give you an idea. And it's not because of traffic, it's because there are none. And so, to give you an idea, he comes from a farming family. He makes a lot of money with farming, 7-figure annual income from farming. It throws off a lot of lump sum cash to him at certain parts of the year, and then at certain parts of the year, he's really, really skinny. So they get their harvest, I guess, and they get a bunch of money in, and then he may go spend $600 grand on seed or grain or whatever, you know what I mean, whatever. And then he's broke until the harvest comes in, and it's this kind of cycle. But for a good portion of the year, a good chunk of the year, he's sitting on a big lump sum of cash. And he's like, I want to do real estate investing. I want to put this money to work for me while I have that cash sitting. And eventually I'd rather do that and kind of transition out of farming. And so I'm like, cool. I would never, ever advise anybody in this room especially if they're starting out in real estate investing, to start with 4 or 5 different marketing strategies all at the same time. You'll say to yourself, it's just too much. Start with one. Start with probate. Start with short sales. Start with this. But for Doug, who lives in the middle of nowhere, Iowa, he's got like 1 probate filing every 2 weeks, right? So what the heck are we going to do with that? I have 300 a month in my little area in St. Louis. He's got 1 every 2 weeks. And so then we're like, well, let's look at short sales. And he's got like 2 a week or something like that. You know what I mean? I've got 10 or 20 a day. He's got 2 in a week. And so all this, we have to employ all these different marketing strategies for him, because he's a guy who wants to do 5 or 6 deals a month, and we can't get there based off of the numbers. So we've got him doing 5 or 6 different strategies. He's running all these different real estate strategies, and he's closing a deal or 2 a month, but he's not hitting his 5 or 6 number. And so he stops on his way home one day. I'm on the phone. He's like, you know what, man? I'm just going to run into my local bank and see if they've got anything that they want to sell. And he's like, they probably don't, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, let me know how that goes. And so he calls me back about an hour later, and he's like, man, you're never going to believe this. I just ran into my bank, and he goes, they gave me a list of 8 properties that they've got on their books that they need to sell. And I'm like, I'm being Debbie Downer, which I never am, but I'm like, hey, man, don't get all excited yet. They're probably on the MLS. They got them way overpriced. They're not selling. You know, don't get all excited. So he calls me about another hour later, and he gets home. He's like, dude, not a single one of these houses are on the MLS. Why? And I'm like, I don't know. And so I pull him up, and I'm looking at the MLS with him. I'm like, you're right. Not a single one of these houses are listed. So here's this bank that has 8 houses that they foreclosed on, that's sitting on their books, that they're not advertising out for sale anywhere. They're just sitting there collecting dust. No one's lives in them. No one's renting them. No one's paying. They're paying taxes. They're paying insurance. They're paying all these things. They're not doing a dang thing with the house. Doug bought 4 of the 8 of those houses from that bank, and Rachel and I, Doug flew down to St. Louis, and Doug's like, all right, how can we take this accidental thing that I ran into on accident and turn it into a full-blown automated marketing strategy where I'm reaching out to 100 banks and I'm contacting all, you know what I mean, and trying to scoop in as much as I can. He's bought 72 houses in the last 24 months in the middle of nowhere where he's at, 72 doors with this strategy. So this is really cool. So what I mean by local bank is this is not your Bank of America, this is not your Chase, this is not your Wells Fargo, okay? This is your smaller banks. Locally owned and operated. They may have multiple branches, but they're still typically located only around your community. Sometimes credit union will work too, but I would say, you know, anything more than 10 locations, and they probably start to get a little bit too big for this. What we're looking for here is the bank that's big enough to have inventory, but too small to have a department that handles foreclosures, a department that handles short sales. What they have is a board of directors, which is a good old boys club, that meets once a month, and they talk about their loans that aren't paying, and they talk about a bunch of other things, but nothing ever really gets done, right? That's to be honest, that's what we're looking for, okay? So they don't typically sell a lot of their loans, so they in-house them, so that's good. They typically have a list of their delinquent or foreclosed properties on their books, and they're usually more motivated to get rid of them. I didn't realize this, but chartered banks, banks that are governed by the government, that have checking accounts, have certain default percentage rates that they're required by federal law to operate with inside of. Meaning that they can only have a certain percent of defaulted loans on their books, or the government will intervene to the point that they'll actually strip away ownership and take away the people who are in charge of the bank, and they will replace them with other people. It's crazy. It's like hostile takeover. If they continue to operate outside of those mandated percentages for defaulted loans. So do you think that's a percent that's probably pretty important to them? Okay? Do you think that that percent can get way more out of whack when you only wrote 10 loans this month than if you wrote 100,000 loans? It's way easier for it to get out of whack, right? You could have one $200,000 loan throw your whole thing off. Whereas when you're like Bank of America and you've got hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars worth of loans, it's just a big, huge pot, and you know what your percentages are going to be. They're never really going to fluctuate up or down. But when you're small and you don't have a lot of volume, you can see huge fluctuation, okay? So what that means to us is there are times throughout the year that these banks are very, very motivated to get stuff off their books because they're at the end of their quarterly reporting or their year-end reporting. Guy John, that actually is a partner in Rachel and I's funding business, he was the guy that owned that collection agency that I told the story about earlier. He was the first guy to fund a loan for us, fund a deal for us when we did our first flip. He sold out his ownership in that collection agency for like $150 million, the biggest collection agency in the country. That guy slaved his whole life away. I mean, like 60 hours a week for his whole entire life. But super cool guy, super financially smart. And we were telling him about the strategy, and so he calls Enterprise Bank, which is a bank he had always done business with. And he does what I just told him to do because he's got way too much money and way too much time, and he thinks this stuff is funny. And so he calls Enterprise, and they're like, yeah, we've got a $1.5 million horse farm in Kansas City that we foreclosed on. And he's like, all right, well, what will you sell it to me for? And they said, well, 1.5. That's what it's owed on. That's what we need for it. We can't take anything less. And John says, well, I'll give you $400,000 for it. That's exactly what they did. And then they hung up. And they laughed at him and said, yeah, right, we'll never sell it for that. Get out of here. And this was probably like June or July last year. So a month later, he calls the same bank back and he says, hey, you guys think any more about my $400,000? And they laughed at him again and they said, we're never taking $400,000. We need 1.5. He did this every month until December. And on December 28th or 29th, I don't know, we were in his office and he was telling us about it. They called him. And they said, hey, John, you still got that $400,000?
They got to write it off.
Right. They needed it off their books by the end of the year. Right. They had to have it off their books by the end of the year. They sold him that farm for $400,000. He listed it with my buddy Daniel in Kansas City, who's since passed away. But he listed it with my buddy Daniel. Daniel put it on the market. He sold it for $1.1 million. John bought it for $400,000. Okay. So point is that persistence wears down resistance. Point is that what was a deal today may not be a deal tomorrow, or what was not a deal today may become a deal tomorrow. That's why follow-up is important. That's why all of this marketing that we're going to teach on Saturday is super, super important. Because if you're one and done, he would have never, ever got that deal. What's it, $600,000 spread or something he made on that? See you later, right? 700, right? So that's why we designed these marketing strategies the way that we did, to be implemented in that way, because we don't always convert them on our first attempt, but we convert them over time. Okay? So how do we find them? We're typically searching for banks that are within a 1 to 2 hour radius or distance from when we're willing to drive, because just because the bank is there doesn't necessarily mean that was where the loan they did was at, right? So we can kind of search a bank that's 2 hours or an hour away from here could have done a loan 5 minutes away from here, right? Makes sense, because their clientele's all over the place. So we have a little more flexibility with this. So this is really, really simple to find them. This is a fantastic task for a $3 an hour virtual assistant that can do this for you, or a very expensive local assistant that can do this for you. But basically what we're going to do, it's real simple. We're going to go to yellowpages.com, and we're going to type in bank in the search field, and then we're going to put in the zip code. With me, yes or no?
Yes.
All right? Then here's what's going to come up. We're going to hit this little sort box, and we're going to sort it by distance, so that it sorts the names of the banks, and then it sorts them by distance, giving us the closest ones first and more farther away ones as it goes down. With me, yes or no?
Yes.
All right? So now we have that. Closest ones will be at the top. So now we can go through here, and we can start to determine which one of these are banks that we might want to go after and which ones aren't. Royal Banks of Missouri, I never even heard of them. Probably a good one for us to go after, right? New Frontier Bank, I have heard of them. There's one that's kind of close to my house, but there's not a ton of locations. I don't think they're a nationwide bank. That's probably a good one. When you start seeing the Wells Fargos and the Cities and the Chases, just delete them. Don't even worry about it, okay? We're going after the smaller town banks here. So here's what we need to collect on these people, okay? We need to get the branch name, because they may have multiple branches. So the address and the phone number for the branch. We need the president. That should actually say executive vice president or director. Okay? And here's why. I don't mean, does anybody here work at a bank? One person, two people? All right.
I don't know if they'd admit.
If they do. So I don't mean, this is not a dig for anybody that works at a bank. But everybody that works at a bank is a vice president, right? Have you ever been to the bank? Everybody's card says vice president. Every single person. Fine and well, but the guy who gave me the vice president card probably is not making the decision on whether or not they can sell me this house. It's no disrespect, there's probably not, right? So I need to get, my point of my marketing is to only go to decision makers, right? Yep. So typically president, executive vice president, director. So name, their direct phone number, and email address. Here's what else is really cool about this, is that you could probably spend all day for the rest of your life trying to get the president of Bank of America on the phone, right? I mean, probably, and you may not ever get him, ever. Cool part about this with these small town banks is you can probably get the president of that bank or the president of that branch on the phone by the end of tomorrow. Because
Jason.
they just respond to the public, yeah?
Local small community bank, I go into local small community bank and do bank drops every Monday, and I sit and have coffee with the presidents of the local small community bank.
Yeah.
And talk.
There you go.
Job, vacation,
Yeah.
business. It's true.
Very cool.
It's true.
So this is just a different deal, right? So that's what we're looking for. Their name, their direct phone number, and their email address. Most of the time it's listed on their website. Most of the time you can find all their contact information right there on their website. And if you can't find it, another good job for an assistant or your 14-year-old that wants to make a little bit extra money or whatever is to call the bank and say, hey, I need to get John Smith's email address or phone number. We want to inquire about some property that you guys might have. Whatever it is, they'll give that information out super, super easy because they're a small town local community bank. They don't hide that information. There's not like an intercessor like a Bank of America where you've got 13 people that are in the way of the president and you're never ever going to talk to them. It's just not the way that it is.
Not
So
trying to get a hold of Jamie Dimon.
what's that?
Not trying to get a hold of Jamie Dimon.
That's right. That's right. So here's what this marketing campaign is going to look like, okay? Again, I will get into way more detail on what these letters need to say and what they're going to look like on Saturday, but this will give you a general concept. I know I'm way behind. I'm way behind. Sorry. Letter campaign to all the presidents, vice presidents, directors, and all branches. So we're going to mail this letter. We're going to mail a physical letter once every 30 days. Okay. Again, do we need to communicate to the bank in a different language than what we need to communicate to a foreclosure customer? Yes or no? Yes. So one thing that I found is that banks like to talk money. So we'll get into more detail on this, but your letter needs to reference a specific sum of money that you have able to invest in real estate. So my letter, to a degree, I'll show it to you guys on Saturday. What it says is, hey, I have $283,363 that I need to put back into real estate within the next 30 or 60 days. And I was trying to reach out to you to see if you have anything that's in delinquent or default on your books that you need to get rid of. So understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying I can pay cash. I'm not saying I can get it. I'm not saying any of that. They understand that I have a lump sum of money that I need to move from my balance sheet over to their balance sheet. So I have to communicate in the way that they understand communication. All right. So I know that a lot of you in here are probably thinking, well, that's fine and great, but I don't have $283,000. That's what I thought too. And my first real estate coach, when I was wiped out and just filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy, my very first thing is, this is all fine and great, jerk, but I know you got money, but I just filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I don't have a car, dude. I definitely am not going to get a loan for a house from anybody. And he's like, Jason, you don't understand, man. You find the deal, the money will come. And I said, yeah, that's what all rich people say. The money is not going to come. Trust me. Have you seen my credit? The money's not coming. And he's like, right. And he's like, Jason, you don't get it. In your world in mortgage lending was based around credit score. Lending was based around debt to income ratios, based around all these different things. And in this world, it's based around the deal. It's based around the asset. They don't give a crap if you pay your bills on time or not. Hard money lenders looking to see if this is a real deal or not. That was really hard for me to grasp when I was completely wiped out. But then when I got my first deal, and I'll give you an example. How many of you in here, I want you to tell the truth. Everybody in here, just answer honestly. If I had a house that I just bought today for $100, and we could put it on the MLS tomorrow and sell it for $150, the second we put it on the market, it would sell for $150. How many of you in here have the $100,000 or have the ability to get me the $100,000 and take that deal down? Raise your hand. Honestly, raise your hand. Okay, that's almost half this room. Okay, so now does anybody in here not have the money for their deals anymore? Right? Because that's what it is. Well, you got your people to lend to right there. Everybody, all those people that just put their hands up. It's not hard to find the money. You just got to find the deal. Okay. So again, we're going to do a letter campaign. We're going to do an email campaign. We're going to do a Facebook and LinkedIn campaign, and we're going to do an outbound call campaign to all of these people at the bank on a 30-day cycle over and over and over again. We're going to cast out this big, huge net, and we're going to have all these people responding to us. And again, I have all the emails scripted out. I have all the letters scripted out. You can just copy off of mine. Don't change this, recreate it. Don't make it any other way. Plug it in, let it go, make it work. You guys with me, yes or no? Yes. All right. Okay, so again on this one, we need to determine our marketing area. We need to find the data, right? So yellowpages.com, super easy. We need to determine who's sending out our marketing. Are you going to do it? Is an assistant going to do it? Who's going to take care of that? Who's taking the call? You know, for those of you that are working full time, that's something that we need to figure out. You know, is when a seller calls you, who's going to take that call? Who's going to answer the call? Who's going to follow up with it? Who's going to run the appointment? And so I'll get into a little more detail on Saturday. We use a call service called Voice Nation. There's other ones out there. What's the other big one that people like? Pat Live, yeah. Pat Live, you can use them. But they answer the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they say, JR Properties, how can I help you? And it sounds just like a receptionist. They're awesome. I love them. And it's super, super cheap and inexpensive. And that way Rachel and I don't have to take marketing calls at dinner time. Or when we're with our family, or when we have to do anything else. It'll just come over on a text. So if nothing's going on, I feel like we're not making a call, great. If not, then I know. Make sense? Yeah. That way somebody's answering the 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then set up your follow-up campaign. This is a very automated campaign. Okay, so we help you to set up like an email autoresponder. So you just plug this data in, your assistant throws the data in, and every month these emails are just going out automatically to all these branch managers, to all these owners of the bank, president of the banks. You guys follow what I'm saying? This becomes very, very easy this is one of the more easier, program or internet-based automation marketing ideas that we teach, because it's has a very, very high ability to be automated almost completely out to where you're just directed, just responding to inbound communication. With me? All right. So again, I'll get into this in a lot. I know I'm going fast. Let's talk about short sales real quick, and then I'm going to have to wrap it up, or I'm going to get probably kicked out of here. This is my coaching student, Gabe. Gabe is in Wisconsin, and Gabe actually was sitting in a room like this, probably maybe the first time I ever went and spoke in Wisconsin. And at the time, Gabe was working for Chase as a short sale negotiator. And Rachel and I had went up to talk about, we weren't offering anything. We had just went up to Eric, the guy that owns Milwaukee REI, is a friend of mine. And he's like, dude, you guys are crushing it on short sales. Come up to my REI, I'll pay for your trip up here, and just teach everybody what you're doing, down there in St. Louis. So me and Rachel went up, and Gabe was working at Chase at the time, and after our presentation, he's like, came back and talked to us, and he's like, I want to quit my job at Chase, and I want to do it on this side. I want to be an investor. I don't want to sit in this cubicle anymore. I'm tired of it. And I don't remember how long was it that we were. It wasn't very long that we worked with Gabe before he quit.
Yeah. Maybe 5-6 months, because he helped us with a couple of deals.
Yeah, maybe 5-6 months, and he quit his job at Chase, and now he's like negotiating against Chase. Doing short sales on the side. But Gabe has anywhere from 40 to 60 short sale files. He said he's on pace this year to do about $500,000 in net profit, which is a whole lot more money than he was making at Chase, and he's working significantly less hours. By the way, you can look all these people up on Facebook, and you can look them up in my friends list and see that they're real. And see, you can see the lives that they're living. You can see them posting stuff about the check that they used to just pay their car off today. You can see them posting about how they just paid their mortgage off, or they went on vacation for a month and a half, or whatever it is. I mean, these are real life people that I've met along my travels that have drastically changed their lives. And this is a guy from REI in St. Louis, and he's just he's a computer engineer, and he is a super quiet guy, and he never ever really talks. And one month, me and Rachel were giving a presentation 5 months ago, we were giving a presentation about short sales, and he told us that he had averaged one closing a month for $100,000 net profit for the last 18 months in a row. And I'm like, yeah, right. My first response was, yeah, right. And so the next month, I wasn't rude about it, but the next month he brought in his HUDs, and I'll be damned. Every single month he's done at least one deal that net him $100,000 with short sales. So very, very current, very, very much still active. There are some different rules for any of you that are operating in Maryland that you need to be aware of, and we'll get into in depth more on that, of how to follow those. It's extremely different. You can get yourself in trouble. It's the only state in the country that I'm aware of that has these rules. So everywhere else in the world, besides Maryland, you can follow the system. But for Maryland, you're going to have to do things differently. You can't market directly to the homeowner. I'm not the expert. He probably sounds like he might know something about it. But
there is a BIFA law out there, which controls the marketing of what you send to them.
So it's just different. So we just last thing I want to do is get anybody in trouble. So we just need to make sure if you're marketing in Maryland. I'm going to have one of my guys that I've coached probably 3 or 4 years that is an investor in Baltimore get on the calls with us when we go to talk about short sales and market, because he just knows the stuff inside and out. He knows it way more than me. So I just want to make sure everybody's doing the right thing. Anybody not understand what a short sale is? I'll just real quick. Short sale is when you owe 200 grand on the house, but it's only worth 150. Okay? So in this process, we negotiate with the lender, and we get them to discount the note and create a big enough margin for ourselves that we can buy the house for 100 grand and sell it for 150. Make sense? For those of you that haven't done it before, you may say, why in the world would a bank ever do that? And so I'll give you the quick answer. Quick answer is, the bank determines the value of the property with a $50 BPO. Okay? Broker price opinion. And what that means is, the bank has this loan that's $500,000, and they send a request out to a local realtor who they probably give 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks to, and that person in 5 or 10 minutes determines the value of the property, and that's the number that they go off of. Sound crazy? Think maybe there's some margin for error in that? Okay, so that margin for error is called our retirement, or our profit, or our whatever, right? And that's how we do that. So on Saturday, we're going to teach you a ton of honest, legit, legal tips and tricks on how to negotiate that BPO, how to point out the differences in the comps, how to point out the repairs and stuff that are made. Anybody here a realtor or BPO agent? Okay, so does anybody here do BPOs?
Yes.
You do? How long on average does it take you to do a BPO, honestly? Are you doing a lot of them?
I'll do a few.
Yeah.
Maybe like an hour and a half.
Okay, you're taking it 55 minutes longer than anyone else that does it. so good for you. That's cool. Most BPO agents are full-time BPO. That's all they do, and they do 8 or 10 of them a day. I mean, what's that?
There's people in the Philippines who are doing BPOs.
Yeah, he said there's people in the Philippines that are doing BPOs. Yeah, I believe that. And I will tell you that if you ever go on a BPO, if you're in the house with the BPO agent, at max they're there for 10 minutes. Max. Most of the time 5. And most of the time what they're doing is running from room to room and just snapping. Yep, she's doing it. Snapping a picture, back in the car, and out. Okay? They're not taking pictures of damage. They're not taking pictures of any of those things. So if we can learn how to kind of influence that BPO agent to notice those things and make note of those things and show them in the comps and give them some reasons to support our number, we can create ourselves a really hefty margin in that. Every 6-figure income deal where we made $100,000 or more profit that Rachel and I have ever done has been a short sale deal. So I really want to cover and take some time. We'll get into it. Again, I'm going to run out of time on Saturday, but let's see here. I'll show you how to pull the data. I'll show you how to do all that stuff. Write these down real quick because these are just some of the keyword terms that you're going to find for finding the actual foreclosure filing. And there's different things that get filed along the process. So one other reason Rachel and I did so well in St. Louis is we spent a lot of time at the county recorder's office, and we just asked good questions. We didn't go down there and say, hey, where's your foreclosure list? They don't have a foreclosure. They don't even know what that means. What they do, I didn't mean it like that. What I meant was they don't refer to it as a foreclosure list, right? They refer to it as some sort of filing. So we just sat down and asked a whole bunch of questions and said, like, okay, so if I'm a bank and I want to foreclose on somebody, what's the very first thing I would do? And they said, oh, well, the very first thing that you would do would be you would have to file an appointment of successor trustee. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Well, what that means is that the bank is currently the trustee, but if they're going to foreclose, they have to appoint the trustee rights over to a law firm. And I was like, oh, and so do they file that? Yes, they file that. Well, no one in St. Louis knew that. So everybody in St. Louis was pulling the actual foreclosure filing, the date that the foreclosure was filed. Me and Rachel were pulling the appointment of successor trustee, which happened 2 or 3 days before the foreclosure filing happened. So my letter landed in the mailbox 2 or 3 days before all 60 other letters did. Make sense? It's these small degree tweaks that can make all the difference in the world. So ask some good questions. Either way, you'll be okay, but if you can get your letter in there a day or two sooner, you're going to get a significantly better response rate. All right? So these are all the ones you want to look for. Notice of successor trustee, assignment of successor trustee, notice of assignment, notice of default, notice of sale. And that's the data that we want to collect from the homeowner to give you kind of an idea. I'm going to get into this full-blown on Saturday, but we've got a really, really cool letter that pulls a 10% response rate in pretty much every market in the country for short sales, which is awesome. It's 10 times the average response rate for direct mail, and we'll get into the Facebook message and everything else that we need to do. Voicemail script, I'm on calls. I'll get way more into detail with that stuff on Saturday. I'll go over this kind of description that walks the homeowner, walks you guys through the short sale process so it becomes significantly easier for you to teach. Are we like hard 9 out of here? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, all right. Calm down.
Well, hold on.
9, 10, whatever.
It's like hardcore 9 straight up.
Where?
Jason, hold on, is Jason done? Can he have a couple more minutes?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I think, our facility, like, they're, get out at 9, we don't care if you're in the middle of your presentation, we're throwing everybody out.
Now, that doesn't need another hour, Jason.
Okay, yeah, I'm wrapping up. All right, so I'm going to move on to this, car science. This is my buddy Ruben Perez. This guy was in my coaching group, had never ever done real estate before, really investing in his whole entire life. And he created this system called Bandit Signs on Wheels, which I'm just going to give you kind of a little bit of an idea of it. Right now, okay, so you know the traditional bandit sign, right? You know what that is? The sign in the yard that says, "We buy houses."
Yellow.
And so, yeah, yellow. And so this guy thought, well, what if I could put a bandit sign on a car? And it was driving around all day for people to see, instead of, getting called by the cops or getting a fine or whatever for putting it where you're not supposed to put it. And then he thought, well, what if I could get other people to put it on their cars, and I could have a whole fleet of cars driving around. Ruben now has over 300 cars driving around Phoenix, Arizona. He gets a crazy amount of calls every single day, just nonstop, from this marketing strategy. And you probably don't see it much up here. This is something that's pretty easy to implement, but there is a system and there is a process behind it, because immediately you say, well, this is another strategy that can be really easily automated. For anybody that knows a little bit about computers, it's really easy to automate the system, and we'll show you in more detail how to do that on Saturday. But it's basically that. It's basically a bandit sign in the back of the car. The system behind it is how to locate and find the people that are willing to put it on the back of their car, how to organize that, how to keep them all going, and to get, what Rachel and I have found is typically between 30 and 50 cars is kind of the magic number where the phone starts to ring consistently, where you consistently have deals to look at. For any of you guys that have been real estate investors for any period of time, you know that bandit signs absolutely, they still work to this day. We still have a lot of our students that run their whole business off of just big bandit sign campaigns. This I thought was a whole lot cooler, because once you get them out there, you never have to put them out again, right? With normal bandit signs, you're typically putting them out on Friday night and picking them up on Sunday before the city comes around and finds you for them, right? Or they're getting lost, or other investors are throwing them in the ditch and putting theirs out, or not that we do that, right? I definitely have never done that. But that will kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. So I'm sorry, I'm way out of time. I'll go over step by step on Saturday how we market for the people to put the sign in the car, how we deliver the sign, how we track what car is whose, how we keep track of the calls that come in. Does that make sense? Yep. All right. So I'm sorry, I have way more to talk about than I have time. Okay. So I know I'm about out of time. The other cool thing about this is that a lot of the people that we end up finding that allow us to put these stickers on their cars, we're able to, we give them 10% of the net profit on whatever we make on the deal. So if we make $30,000 on it, they get a check for $3,000 for doing nothing other than having the sticker on the back of their car. And it's probably one of the most rewarding, cool things on Jonathan and Erica that are in Rachel and I's coaching group that started this in St. Louis after we showed it to them. The very first check they got was, $35,000 on that deal you helped them with, their very first ever real estate deal off the car sign. And they gave this retired veteran guy that he had some medical issues, and he didn't have any money, and he had just really bad situation going on, and they videotaped them bringing him this check for like $3,600 or $3,800. And I don't remember what he said had just happened the day before, but it was something bad in his car, something with his car, and he couldn't drive. All the worst case scenario, all this stuff, and the guy just broke down and started crying. He's like, "This just totally, you guys have no idea how this changed my life." And then you keep seeing story after story. I mean, it gives you an opportunity to give back. It gives you an opportunity to bless other people and still be building a business and doing something cool with your own stuff at the same time. Make sense? Yes. All right, so massive action has kind of been my thing for tonight. In order to get something that you've never got, you have to do something you've never done. Would you guys agree with that? Yes. All right. So I want you to think about something different real quick, and then we'll kind of wrap up. This whole mindset thing, and I don't mean to be hokey with it, but I'm telling you that I've traveled around the country long enough. I've worked with thousands of real estate investors in the last 7 years. When you deal with that many people that are all saying that they want to go to the same place, but a handful of them go there and the other ones don't, you start to see patterns in people. Social patterns, belief patterns, activity patterns. You start to see. Does it make sense? Just like if you're a doctor and you see patients all day long and you see somebody coming in with this red rash on their arm and you know for sure that it's poison ivy because you've seen it 100 times? Yeah? So I see the same things in people. And one of the things that I've seen is just the excuses that I can't do this. There's not enough time. There's not enough. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough this. The bottom line is, if you want to make it happen, you can make it happen. Yes or no? Yes. If you want to take action on it, you can take action on it and make it happen and make something change. But you've got to get outside of. You got to get out of your own way a little bit. You got to say, what excuses am I making right now? Not even with this. What excuses am I making right now in my life that are preventing me from getting what I want to get? Is it that you work too many hours? Is it that you don't have enough money? What story is it that you're telling yourself right now that's preventing you from getting the results that you want to get? We all have a story. We all have a subconscious story, a personal self-talk story that we're giving ourselves on why we're not getting the results that we want in a certain area. And it's crap, is it not? Yeah. And so I just want you guys to really think about that and think about what we can do to help change that. How many of you guys in here, I mean, I'm really sorry that I've got we normally teach this in a 3-day boot camp, and so I'm trying to go through it in 90 minutes and let you know who I am and all this stuff. So we're doomed to fail before we start. Did you get something out of tonight? Yes or no? Yeah. Awesome. Good. I want to encourage everybody in here to get signed up for our Saturday work. You know, I guess you do have to sign up, but they're not charging, so it's free. You can come for free.
Yeah,
Rachel and I are going to...
Seats are limited. So.
Yeah. Get signed up tonight before it goes. We're going to teach. Rachel and I are going to teach for 8 hours. What's the date? When do we do coming back? November 4th? Okay, so you guys know what I know. That's good. November 4th, we're going to teach all day long. You will like Rachel probably better than me. For those of you guys that are, you want to stand up and say hi so people can see who you are. Rachel's had the pleasure of working with me for 17 years now. She doesn't listen to me at work. She's not going to listen to me here either. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
All right. So anyway, she's the more analytical. I'm more the idea where we need to go. She's the more analytical. That's all great, Jason, but here's the 18 things that we have to do in order to do that. Make sense? So I don't, if my personality comes off as like we're just going and we go, it's because I have the balance of somebody who is the analytical mind, the operations manager, the person that put all of those things in place, and it all runs together really, really well. So the cool part about getting taught from both of us is that you'll get the big picture of exactly what needs to be done and where we need to go, and she will fill in all the details with every single task list thing that needs to happen in the order that it needs to happen in, on what day it needs to happen, on what time it needs to happen. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, cool. And for any of you guys that can't be there on Saturday, I want you to take the opportunity that's here to change your life and to do something different. And like I said, I don't travel around the country 2 times a month and sling courses and sell stuff. My primary income is flipping houses, our real estate business that's based in St. Louis. But for those of you that are sitting here today that are saying, I do want to change, I do understand the value of this, I do want to get different results, I do want to do something different, then I can just kind of tell you about this real quick. I'll take 2 minutes. Rachel and I are big advocates of practicing what we preach and delivering more than what our expectations are. And when I was younger, when I was 21, 22 years old, I spent $20,000 in cash to go to this Russ Whitney real estate investing training. Did you do it too? Or?
I did that.
You did it too? $20,000 I spent, and I flew down to Cape Coral, Florida. That's when I had the mortgage company and I had plenty of money, but 20 grand is still 20 grand no matter what you're making. And I remember the guy teaching this 3-day class was reading off of a workbook. And we started asking him questions, and we started getting the vibe. Wait a second, the guy that was teaching the class had never, ever done the investing strategy that he was teaching. As a matter of fact, he had never done any real estate investing. He was just paid to come there and read out of the workbook. And I got this really sick, sinking feeling that I just spent 20 grand for this. And I did. And I didn't get my money back, and I flew home, and I was extremely disappointed. The one good thing that it did do is it kind of lit this little bug in me, even at a young age, that this real estate investing thing might be cool, but that really sucked. You know what I mean? And so I stayed away from it for a really long time. And I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on education. I've gone to Fiji to see Tony Robbins, which was ridiculously expensive. It's probably some of the best money I ever spent my whole entire life. And I've gone to some stuff that was bad. But when Rachel and I started teaching and presenting, we said we always want to be the one that people leave there saying, I got 10 times more than what I paid for. So we tried to create something that offers that same thing. So what Rachel and I are willing to do for anybody in the room that wants to participate, we'll talk more about it on Saturday, but and you don't have to, but if you really want to take action on this, if you really want to start making things different right now, if you want our help and our expertise and what we've learned after doing 400 deals, then this is what that looks like. So Rachel and I will personally coach you for the next 30 days. It's 2 hours a week for the next 4 weeks. And it will be on a group call. And a group this size will probably have 20, 25 people that partake in this. And so we'll have a 2-hour group call, typically on Mondays, once a week for the next 4 weeks. And on that call, I'll go through every single person on the call, and we'll create an itemized marketing plan based on the strategy that you want to do. And Rachel and I will help you with what you need to do in order to implement that. What staff we need, whether we need to hire and train an assistant, whether we can delegate some of this out to a VA. We'll help you set up the infrastructure and get the business going. Within that first 30 days, you'll have calls coming in, you'll be running appointments, most of you will have a property under contract. And my goal with that is, I don't want you spending time or money on anything if you're not going to go out and get results. You know, you hear the saying knowledge is power. I think I said this on a webinar, and I just think it's such a crap statement because knowledge is not power. Knowledge plus action equals power, right? You can know all you want to know about this real estate investing stuff. I can give you every single tool that I have in my arsenal. But if you don't go home and mail out the first letter, nothing's ever going to happen. So you can have all the knowledge in the world, but it never becomes power until you take action on it. Yes or no, guys? All right, so my goal with this is to help you take action. We'll walk you through step-by-step every one of these strategies. We'll help you find your data. We'll help you create your marketing plan. We'll help you set the business up. We'll also give away in that 2 free tickets to our next boot camp, which is in March in St. Louis. It's a 3-day boot camp. We might even move it to 4, but it's 3 days right now. I'm sure it gets mad, but we got more stuff to give. So we have our next one is in March. They're really, really good. Nothing gets sold there. There's nothing to buy. It's 3 days of full content the whole entire time. And we'll provide you with every single thing you need to make it work. All of our marketing pieces, all of our letters, our email campaigns, our scripts, our Facebook messages, all the resources that we use to run our own business. And so if you're interested in doing that, the price for it is $19.97. I will give you guys this guarantee, and that is, if this isn't absolutely the best real estate training that you've ever gone through in your whole entire life, bar none, I will personally give you all of your money back outside of the REI. I don't care. I will personally write you a check for it if it's not the best real estate training that you've ever been through in your whole entire life after the 30 days. Here's the caveat, here's the catch. You got to show up and freaking participate because I'm not a babysitter. Okay? So if you want action, if you want to get results, I'm not trying to be a jerk. Please don't take it that way. God put me on this earth to change people's lives, and I cannot change your life if you don't show up. So you got to show up for your own self, okay? Make sense? You got to show up for you. You got to show up for your family. You got to show up for your kids. You got to take a step outside your comfort zone because guess what? Life is not going to change if you walk out of this room and keep doing the same thing that you've been doing for the last 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it is. It only changes when you step outside a little bit. And Rachel and I want to be here to kind of help you with that step outside. I get that it's scary. I get that it's risky. I understand all that. But after doing 400 deals, after starting probably 10 companies in the last 17 years, we've learned a whole lot. We've learned about what mistakes not to make. We've learned, you will save the amount of money that you spend on a course just in your first transaction that you do just by knowing a little bit about how to put the right things on the HUD settlement statement, how to tweak your marketing, all that kind of stuff. So again, I don't want to make this a sales pitch. You know if you're sitting here right now, if you want things to change, if you want things to be different, and you know if we can help you or not. Thank you guys. Again, please get signed up for the Saturday, whether you do that or not. Get signed up for the Saturday. Let us be able to spend a whole day teaching you these strategies of what really works and what doesn't work. and help get your business jump started. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you guys.
Guys, real quick, those of you who are interested in a Saturday event, go to meetup.com/Capital City REI and reserve your seat now. 40 seats are already taken. We can only do 60 people in the room. You have to reserve your seat tonight, or you're risking not being able to
Thank you
get
guys.
it.
Yeah, thanks, man. We'll meet up there.
And those who are ready to take Jason up on his offer can come see me here in the back.
It is a lot of work. When you can find a good negotiator, if you can find some good that labor, you're getting elected, and you can push the even if you only end up with 50% of the net over there or something, thank you. Appreciate it. Different part of Wisconsin, you didn't want to do them while we found a negotiator. Hey, how you doing? And it's trash. It's already trash. It's already